Hey, let's call this an open letter, video forum, to sports fans in southern Arizona, in particular Tucson. Hopefully soon, if not already, hockey fans. The beauty of Todd's garage? Well, you might remember your first team hockey puck. You probably strained to resist the temptation to actually use it. And maybe you had to create your own with some electrical tape and a color logo like I did. Here in the garage, we still have that puck. That team, my hometown team growing up, the Rochester Americans. For years, they were one of the premier franchises of the American Hockey League. In my era, they were the farm team for the mighty Boston Bruins. The one and only Don Cherry was the toast of the town, winning the title 3 times as a player, then a spirited head coach, before Grapes went on to lead Boston, and eventually his national iconic status in the coach's corner. So what does this have to do with Tucson and the new franchise there in town? Everything. You see, my house, according to MapQuest, 1200 Northrop Road, Penfield, New York, was 85 miles down the New York State Thruway from the Aud, the home of the NHL team in Western New York, the Buffalo Sabres, an hour and 30 minutes away. Sound familiar? And understand, the Sabres of my youth were good, really good. They were led by the French Connection line and found themselves in the Stanley Cup Finals up against the Broad Street Bullies, the Philadelphia Flyers. As the crow flies, Toronto, the mecca of the hockey universe, was just a hop, skip, and a jump across the border. The NHL team I lived and died with, the high-flying Montreal Canadiens, were a decent drive, relatively close to be sure. For years I've wondered why as a kid I never made that pilgrimage. And I didn't. And here's my point. I had everything I needed in the AHL. My earliest hockey heroes were guys named Doug Gibson and Gordie Clark, prolific goal scorers, and a goalie named Jim Seaweed Petty. None had lasting NHL careers, but that didn't matter. I lived for their home weekend dates and a trip to the War Memorial downtown. Hockey night in Rochester was a big deal. I never needed to look to the freeway for hockey. It was right there at home, live and in living color. The NHL, sure, I knew what was happening all around me. It was, after all, the Holy Grail. But in the AHL, all I needed was an AM radio and the morning newspaper. Now, those first American Hockey League games, the sights, the sound, the feel of a game live and in living color, set forth in motion a lifelong love affair with the sport. In fact, it set the table for the last 20 years of my life and career. They say you never forget your first. Well, I don't. January 17th, 1975 at the War Memorial, Rochester and New Haven. And one of the first autographs I got in the AHL, this guy. A 42-goal scorer, Charlie Simmer was, for Springfield back in the day. No need to lecture anybody in Tucson about the minor league sports experience. Sadly, that era is over. So consider this a gift for your winter consumption with no heat to beat. Of course, there's another team in town with March Madness always looming, in the Ice Cats. Now Wildcats have championship equity and have always entertained. So I just wanted to introduce you to the American Hockey League from my perspective here in Todd's garage. I cherish it to this day. And I remember making this puck like it was yesterday. Who knows who you might see and grow to love and follow all the way up that freeway someday to the Arizona Coyotes and the NHL. But for now, whoever that may be, will be playing in your hometown for your team downtown, practically in your own backyard. No doubt during a break in the Coyote season, I'll venture down the freeway and catch the AHL all over again. And you never know, it could be an interesting matchup someday for the Calder Cup.